Good morning. That song must mean one thing and one thing only.
thing.
It is time for the Going on Daily Live morning show. I'm your host, Ron Rigo, and my co-host today, Martin Blanco. How
Good
you
morning.
doing, Martin?
I'm good. I'm good. Hope you are too, Ron. Hi, everyone.
Oh, I'm quite well. I actually got to kind of like relax for the weekend.
Oh,
After the
nice.
show on Saturday, I kind of did nothing.
Very good. I marched. I marched. You know, there were people marching all over. I went down to New York City.
I was wondering what the heck was going on.
Yeah.
I did not know about this.
Why are there crowds everywhere? Yeah. But it was
Yeah,
nice.
just I'm like, what the heck is going on? What are these people doing?
Yeah. Yeah. I was wondering
Now
the
I
same
know.
thing.
I now know. I get asked that all the time. What the hell are you doing?
You do.
I don't know most of the
Right?
time.
Uh,
Look, we got a great show, Martin, today. I've seen your topics and I've seen my topics,
oh, boy.
and this is going to be an epic episode.
Okay.
Epic episode.
All right.
First of all, we got part 2 of Shakespeare.
Okay. The
Three
series of
by
3.
Shakespeare, part 2.
Yes.
Richard II.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Which is
You
good.
also
Yeah.
have an interesting topic:
Mm.
move over Oscars and Grammys.
Yeah.
I don't want to give it away because I want people to be in suspense.
Good.
So I was like, what is he talking about? What is this? And then I looked it up and I'm like, oh, okay, this
All
ought to be good.
All right.
We also have a fun fact that is going to be spectacular. And I don't want to give it away because from now until then, Hugo will be posting all the stuff about this. So I know how he operates already. And we've got Hugo in there already in the chat. And we also have Becky. So good
Hey.
morning to both of you.
Good morning. Yeah.
You're gonna love this because the top 5 today. We're not gonna give it away. I'm not telling you what it is. Becky, you already know what it is, so don't spoil it. It is a top 5 that Martin is going to partake in this, and it is the Ron versus Martin top 5 today. And let me tell you, there's about 100 that we could put in the top 5 and cannot.
Right.
Cannot.
Right. Could it work as a top 10 between us and we take turns? Could that be the only?
Because I've looked at it this way. I'm like, all right, knowing Martin, I kind of figure what you're going to have in your top 5.
Okay.
And I'm like, I'm not going to put those in the top 5.
Okay. Okay.
Whether I agree with it or not, I know your top 5 is going to be on my list somewhere that belongs in a top 5 for somewhere. I know that. I know that. We're not going to have the same top 5.
Okay. Good.
But they're all going to be deserving of that.
Yes.
So Kenny, beware.
Kenny's on notice.
Kenny is on notice because I'm sure he's going to have like certain movies that I would not have.
Mm-hmm. And
he's going to be very upset.
Suffice it to say, they've made a lot of funny movies over the last 100+ years.
Noticed that. I've noticed that. And I'll tell you, a lot of them came, from like the 60s to the 90s. Mm-hmm. There was a ton. Like,
look, in the 70s, I think every week someone was dropping something. I mean, not to give anything away, but there's one filmmaker in particular in the same year had 2 evergreen classics, within 12 months of each other.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
And yes. And there's some of those from many, filmmakers. There's going to be a lot of those that we're going to be able to talk about. Mm-hmm. And so look forward to that. That's coming later on.
Okay.
So you got to hang with us for that. and that is going to be spectacular. So you are watching us on Facebook at RI Broadcasting. Uh, you gotta follow, share the whole bit, right? We got 10,000 followers on Facebook. So
Awesome.
support the show with stars. It helps. Let me tell you, it helps to pay the cost, and there are lots of costs. Believe me, with having to edit and the program itself costs money for us doing the show, so there's a cost. You can also watch us on YouTube, which has completely blown up on the weekend.
Oh,
Like
yes.
we have I don't know 3,000 views over the weekend.
Oh,
So
fantastic. Yeah.
which for some people, of course, they have their YouTubes that see millions, right? But this is an influx,
Mhm.
so this is great for us. So get on YouTube and please share, subscribe, click that little bell so you always know when we go live because you don't want to miss the show. And of course, you can watch us live on Twitch at RI_broadcasting. You can support the show with bits, or if you subscribe, even better. It helps. It all helps. So do that. And if you really, really, really want to support the show, get on Patreon because you can get all kinds of merch like this wonderful mug that has my tea in it. Has my tea. And Martin, I've now gone, I don't know, several weeks now without putting sugar in my tea that I used
That's
to do.
amazing. How
And
you
it
feeling?
and it's like normal now.
Mm. The
It's
palate
like
has
normal.
adjusted. Yeah. How you
Yeah.
feel with the less sugar? How's it
I'm
overall?
I'm doing better.
Great.
I feel like I have more energy, even though I'm not sleeping. But that's besides
Okay.
the point.
Okay. Good. Good. Yeah,
But yeah,
good that
so
you.
trying to do the less sugar thing, and
All right.
I've taken a look at a lot of different options, and just trying to adjust a little bit. Want to be around for a while when this channel explodes and we're making millions of views instead of thousands.
Okay.
I want to be
You
around for this.
you need to, and you need to be. I can't press the buttons the way you do. Make
All
the
right,
magic.
so let's jump into this, Martin.
Okay.
I'm excited about this. This is actually pretty impressive because this guy that we're going to be talking about has shown um, great sportsmanship over the last few weeks with special things, and then he had this great thing, literally great thing, happen. He surpassed Wayne Gretzky for
Mm,
goals in a season, and I know this is more of a sports show kind of thing, for Friday, but something this big had to be discussed today.
mhm.
Um, he accomplished his 895th goal in his career, surpassing Gretzky now by one. Gretzky had 894
4.
goals,
Yeah.
and he did that in 1,487 games. And it was the exact amount of games that Ovechkin needed to break his record by one.
Okay.
895, which is astounding. Now, there is nobody that's going to catch him in scoring points, right? Because Gretzky's assists alone is more than any player has goals and assists in their
Okay.
career. So it's pretty impressive. And then I was like, I wonder who's going to be the guy to break this guy's goal record.
Mm,
And I looked, I don't see it happening anytime soon
okay.
because the leader that's next in line for him has only 622 goals.
Mm. And how many
Sidney
games?
Crosby,
How many games left?
and 100 less games.
Okay.
So he's not on pace to do it.
No.
He's not on pace. He's
No.
not going to be able to do it. Then the next guy is Steven Stamkos, who has 580 goals. He still needs 315.
A lot of
And,
goals.
Ovechkin is still playing, so he's
Yeah.
gonna keep going.
Right.
So he needs 315 games, but he's already played 1,159 games, so he's getting older.
Mm.
He's not gonna play long enough to do it. And then there's Evgeny Malkin, who is about the same age as Sidney Crosby and has 100 less goals. He's not gonna do it. So now you're talking guys maybe 5, 6 years down the road have to go and try to make a run at that. So in order to get 900 goals, this is what you're going to have to do. You have to play 20 years scoring 45 or more goals. 20 years.
That's daunting. The numbers are daunting. Yeah.
I mean, you got to stay healthy.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, that when you just look at that, how can that even be accomplished? I mean, it's amazing that two players have done this,
Hmm.
and it could be something that nobody ever does
And
again.
what's the spread too? I mean, two players done this, not at least a decade, right? I mean, I don't follow hockey as close as you do, but
Gretzky was he lasted into the 90s.
so there's decades apart between these. So maybe in
Yeah,
20, 30 years, there may be an uber
right. This
player
is what I'm
developing and
saying.
the situations, but that's how rare it is.
You're
That's how rare.
talking 30 plus years already.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's a player in the league right now that can be at that pace, and there isn't anybody at that pace right now. Nobody's able to do it. You got like Draisaitl and Matthews. They're always injured with nagging injuries. Those injuries will get worse as they get older. Ovechkin stayed pretty healthy his whole career. These guys
Right.
that are goal scorers now, they're not staying healthy all the time. And that's a recipe for not being able to do it.
Yeah.
So
Coming up
so
short.
what Ovechkin just accomplished is absolutely amazing, and it's historic for the game. That record will be there for at least another 30 years.
Hmm.
I don't see anybody on the horizon right now. Nobody. So
You're gonna have to look at the
congratulations.
high school prospects. That kid, he's
Yeah,
a
that's
junior
about it,
now.
right?
He might-
I mean,
Yeah.
it's amazing. I mean, that's a lot of goals.
Yeah.
I mean, to do 45 for 20 years is daunting
Yeah.
because most players don't even last 20 years.
Right. Right. Yeah. What's the average career? Right. Yeah.
I'd say the average career is probably like for stars, I'd say 12 to
Okay.
14.
Yeah. And to be consistent like that for
Yeah.
that many years and
Yep.
without fading off. It's
Yeah.
reminding me of Jackie Robinson, but in baseball. But again, there's still it's still only so much that he could do too in the time that he had. It's an achievement. It really is. That sort of
Yeah.
transcends the sport. It's something to be celebrated.
Yeah. So Becky was like, who's second place? Well, now Wayne Gretzky is second place. Enjoy your knees after. Absolutely, Hugo. I
Yeah.
played hockey and my legs are shot. I have a tough time walking around. So I know that. Russians are bred to be super soldiers. And yes, but the thing that was so great about what Alex Ovechkin did the other day, last week, they played the Washington Capitals played um the Minnesota Wild, and the goaltender Fleury for Minnesota is retiring at the end of the season. So that was the last time that they played each other.
Mm.
And all the players started going into the dressing room for Washington. Ovechkin skated over to that little runway area near the bench, and he called all the players back on the ice to shake the hands of Fleury.
Mm.
I mean, he's a great goaltender, one of the best that's
Hmm.
played, right? And that is so thoughtful
Hmm.
to do to an opponent.
Hmm.
And I thought that was just a class move that just vaulted him up, and I'm now proud that he is actually the goals leader. That changed everything.
Respect.
And just that one move
Mhm.
just shows what kind of a person he is.
Yeah.
So that was Alex Ovechkin.
Congrats. Hey, and Ron,
So,
and hats off to your people in Red Sox land, because they did the same thing for Derek Jeter.
yeah, they did.
You know?
They did.
That's really what it's all about, to have that
It's hard not
excellence
to
and
respect a guy
rivalry,
like
and yes, and then respect
that.
it.
Yeah,
Because
yeah. I
people like
mean,
it, they elevate the whole game. Whether
absolutely,
they're on your
and
team or
that
not.
is see, those are the moments that seem to get lost in history. But there's always moments like that. We just need to pay more attention to those moments. Yes, Red Sox Yankees rivalry is probably one of the best in sports, right? But when you get a player like Derek Jeter, that's that doesn't happen all the time.
No.
Like his work ethic, his just respect. You don't hear anything negative of him in the media, and those players should be celebrated, and the Red Sox did that. And you know and I was happy that they did that, because there's not many Yankees I like. He's definitely
He
one
might
of
be
them.
one of them. He might be on that short list.
Yeah, there's a very short list, let me tell you. Very short. So,
Yeah.
you
Okay.
know
Yeah. But good, a fine moment this weekend for sure.
it is. Let me see. There's 20 years for Ovechkin. Yes, this is his 20th season. So he's done pretty well.
Mm.
He did the thing that you needed to do. 20 years, 45 goals. Some years it was much more, and very few were less.
Mm.
Very few. Oh, unbelievable. Future Hall of Famer. All
Yeah.
right, so let's
Yeah.
move on. And oh, here we go. Move over, Oscars and
Okay.
Grammys.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Everyone talks about the Oscars, the Grammys, the Emmys, and look, they're fun. I get it. And once upon a time, I even cared about the Tony Awards for theater. But there's so many other awards out there that really don't hit the public sphere with the same passion as the entertainment ones. And I think that's a shame for a lot of reasons, including these are really, really interesting. So, in time, I think when they announced this year's MacArthur Genius Grant recipients, that might be an interesting topic for the show. I think Pulitzer Prizes, the Nobel Prizes, these are
Right.
interesting, and these people are interesting. And I think you'll enjoy what they're winning awards for. But just last week, I learned about one called the Samuel J. Heyman Awards, nicknamed the
Yep.
Sammys. And I'm like, okay, what are these? I'm listening. This is for service to America, and they're medals given to federal workers. And ironically, this has been going on since like 2002, I think. And now federal workers are literally coming under fire. And I was interested to hear who's winning these awards. And this came about because Michael Lewis, author of Moneyball and oh god, how many other things, Boomerang, The Big Short, and so many
Right.
others, sports and finance and whatnot. It's a book that he edited that just came out. It came across my way, and he wanted to talk about excellence in the federal government. So, and he introduced me and his readers to the Sammy Awards. So what he does in this book is he takes someone who's achieved something in the federal government, he does a chapter on it. Then he finds other journalists who each picked one, and they feature that in their book. So this is in coming across his book. That's what introduced me to the Sammys, and I went online to see, okay, who won last year. I'm hoping last year's not the last year they give these out. They've been doing it for a little over 20 years. And there were 8 recipients last year. I was going to do 3 today, but maybe we'll do 2 because we have a lot of big topics. But what these people do is absolutely fascinating. And they're the ones who are being honored this year. But a lot of people who work the federal government day in and day out are grinding away, not getting a lot of attention, not being
Right.
celebrated. They're just doing their job, and they're doing things like creating systems to report the weather accurately so we can be safe. So when we know when there's hurricanes, we know there's tornadoes, so that we can have commerce, successfully. That kind of stuff. So here are, let's do two winners of the Sammys of 2024. Um, and I'm reading off my other computer screen, so my gaze is going to be a little different. So we have Shannon Rebolito, Justin Uphold, and Nancy Alcantara, and the Packers Sanitation Investigation Leads team. They discovered more than 100 children ages 13 to 17 illegally working on dangerous machinery in 13 meat slaughterhouses across 8
Come on.
states, leading to a large civil penalty and a new approach to child labor law enforcement. So, bravo
Come
to
on.
these men.
And
I
this
know.
is recent.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
inexcusable.
Right. Right. Okay. More than 100 children. Okay. So, these are people. So, what are these people doing? They're doing their jobs. That's what they're doing, and looking out for us. And that's
Wow.
great.
I'm appalled that that's still a thing.
Why is this a
You
thing in
know what I mean?
2024?
Now,
Yeah.
and look, I get it. You own a business and your kids go to work with you or whatever it may be, they help you out. It's not That's not what we're talking here.
No. No, 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 no. This is
That's not
dangerous
what we're talking.
machinery. This is dangerous machinery for adults, let alone children,
Right.
whose focus should be school and whatever their ancillary school activities are. They playing sports, or on the debate team, are they playing a band instrument, whatever. That's their job now. There'll be time for them on the meat factory line later, but right now, and it's exploitive, and shame
Yeah.
on them. And great on these people for exposing this and contributing to its ending, right? Federal government working
Yeah.
hard for you. All
Yeah.
right. Here's another one. And I like this one because this is who Michael Lewis featured in his chapter in the book. So Christopher Mark, 2024 winner. Okay. And Christopher Mark, what a fascinating man. Okay. Uh, he devoted a very long career working for the federal government to preventing fatalities from roof falls and other underground mining disasters. And through
Oof.
his decades long work in, I think it was 2016, if I'm remembering the story correctly, that was the first year there were no deaths from roof collapses in the mines. And this came about because he was working on some safety committee, whatever, and he just took this project on himself. Why? Because he used to work in the mines. In fact, Michael Lewis comments he read something about him on the web and said, yes, he got this award, Christopher Mark, and he was just described as someone who formerly was a coal miner. So that gave Michael Lewis the inspiration to go find out a little bit more about him. And yeah, he worked for a time in the mines, but he was a fascinating man who was born into privilege. His father, an engineer of some accomplishment in his own right, who was on faculty at Princeton and was expertise in looking at the engineering structures of medieval cathedrals and trying to find out how did the people in the Middle Ages build these things with their limited
Right.
technology and their limited math that was available to them. And Chris Mark could have had a life of privilege, both in his education and his work, but he wanted to work the coal mines and other labor jobs to find out, well, what is it like for these people? How do these systems work? And how can he improve their lives? And it took him a little while, but after working in the coal mines, he said, if I can figure out how to keep the ceilings from collapsing, I
Right.
will have done some good. It is too long to go into detail all that went into solving this problem and what causes the ceilings to collapse. But if you were to look at Lewis's book, borrow it from your library, listen to it on Audible, tells you in detail. And Christopher Mark's work was meticulous, painstaking, a lot of tenacity and courage, and
Mm.
literally saved lives and changed the way work goes for miners. Thankless job. I mean, look, they get paid. I'm assuming they're paid well enough nowadays, but there was
You
always
would
such a
hope.
risk to your health and safety in the mines. And this man single-handedly changed it. So these are two winners of the Sammys, 2024 Sammys. And we'll revisit this, and we'll catch up to some of the other spectacular things. These, ordinary Americans just doing their jobs, how they've changed lives.
Hugo said there was a coal mine in Minecraft movie. I'm sure there was, and I'm sure that movie was really bad.
Yeah,
I'm sure it was really bad.
maybe.
It's not the same kind of thing, Hugo. Hate to
Right.
tell you. Hate to tell you.
Oh,
These
God.
people are well deserving of this award. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, when you, especially with the experience that he had
Mhm.
being in that coal mine,
Yeah.
I mean, he's brilliant enough to come up with ways to improve it, right?
Mhm.
And that's what you need to do. Yes, I get we need all this stuff, and it's a very dangerous job.
Mhm.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
being in a coal mine is not a picnic. You know, they're not just sitting there with a little pick and doing,
Yeah.
chipping away.
No, no,
It is dangerous.
no.
You
And
know, so whew,
good to him.
that's fantastic. I didn't know about these awards until you pointed it out, and I'm like, oh boy, I can only imagine what this is going to be like. You know, the politicians patting themselves on the back, but it is quite different.
No, it is. And that's the thing. The federal government is a favorite whipping post for
Yeah,
politicians from time to time. It's like, oh, it's a bloated government, and these people are lazy. And look, in any system, there are weaknesses. In any system, there are lazy people. That's not unique to the federal government, but by and large, there are people who are doing good things, and by nature,
absolutely,
they don't blow their own horn. They don't have a PR team going out every day, and that's why
exactly,
these awards were
exactly.
created yes, to honor them, but to wake up Americans and to say, "Do you know what you have? You
Yep,
have gold here, and you should be aware of it, and you should appreciate it." And we're going to take some time to salute these people, but let's appreciate them, if not because it's a good thing to do, but for your own self-preservation.
yeah.
Because
You never know who's out there
yeah,
fighting the good fight, right?
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, there are countless people out there that really don't get any credit that they deserve,
mm,
and
true.
they're not asking for it.
No, they're not. No, and maybe even would shy away from it too, but
Yeah.
and that's fine. But let's at least know they're out there making life good for us other folks.
Now, I have a story
Yeah.
that, doing a good deed. I remember that I was driving with my coworker. We were going to a meeting for, training with kids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we were on our way there, and I'm looking up ahead, and there's a car coming down a hill, and it completely wipes out,
Mm,
rolls over,
okay.
gas leaking.
Yeah.
There's some fire
Wow.
on the car,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I remember getting out of the car and going over, and me and this other gentleman dragged this guy out of the burning car.
Mhm.
We brought him over to a safe area in the grass, and so the police fire ends up coming because the one I was with, she had called 911, and we ended up, right after that happened, saved the guy. You can
Mhm.
see the news cameras were already
Mhm.
there. I just got in the car and we went to the meeting, and I saw on the news that day that guy, was getting all these accolades for saving the guy's life. And I'm like, well, that's great. That's fantastic.
Mhm.
But I knew I was part of it. And that
Yeah.
guy knew
Yeah.
I was part of
Right.
it, even though he didn't give me credit on the news. But that's
Mhm.
besides the point, But it didn't matter that I didn't need to be there for the news cameras.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And there's
Yeah.
just so many people out there that do things for others that they don't feel the need to do
No.
that.
The deed is its own reward for these
It
people.
is. It
Yeah.
is.
Mm.
And that's exactly what it was. I was like smiling the whole day, right? I was happy. I
Sure.
didn't need to
Sure.
get all the credit for it or anything. I didn't need that. And it just, this story kind of reminded me of that,
Yeah. Yeah.
because there's people out there that do selfless things.
Yes. All the time.
That was great. That was good. Now I'm glad that somebody's doing that. Hopefully it continues. I
Mhm.
mean, you don't know much of anything at this point.
No.
You know, this year is going to be, it's going to be a strange year.
As they say at
Strange
Disney
year.
World at the one of the roller coasters, it's the wildest ride in the wilderness. That's
That's
what we're
right.
going for.
That's right. All right, Martin, we got some fun facts. Oh, you're
Okay.
gonna love this, Becky. Oh, make sure you have your coffee in your hand or your bone broth, whatever you're drinking. But here we go. Fun facts: the Komodo dragon.
Mm.
Oh, this was a great one.
Oh
Love
yeah.
this one. So the Komodo dragon is not really a dragon.
No.
Just throwing that out there. So if you
Is
think
it
it's an actual
Komodo?
dragon,
It's not a dragon, but is it Komodo? I don't think so.
yeah, yeah,
All right.
I guess so, right?
Uh,
So it is the world's largest lizard, part of the monitor lizard family. So it is a monitor. Is that a bus monitor? I don't know.
hall monitor. Yeah. I guess.
See it wearing the little vest. You have your hall pass.
You have to put the vest on. You have to go up and put the vest on, Ron.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. All right, so these things can grow to 10 feet long
Mm-hmm.
and 300 pounds. 300 pounds. You ain't budging these things.
Mm-mm.
And, they can also run 13 miles per hour.
They're
So
fast.
they got some get up in those
Yeah.
little legs, right?
Mm-hmm.
They got some get up. So they have venom glands, and when they bite with their nice sharp teeth, it contains toxins, and it can cause infections, shock, and blood poisoning. And of course, because these teeth are so razor sharp, they're like shark teeth, right? So they're razor sharp and they're serrated, so they will tear you up. So if one gets a hold of you, good luck to you.
Mm.
Good luck to you. I love the facts. Bone broth. Ha ha ha. You got me. So she does have the bone broth. Komodo dragon bones. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's serious. Okay.
Yes.
Becky's not
So,
playing around.
so these things can detect a scent of a carcass 6 miles away.
Mm.
And they do fancy some dead meat. They
As
do
one
like,
does.
so they grave rob, right? So if something kills it, then they come swooping in and they try to take that, and they just swallow the thing whole.
Yikes.
They can swallow up to 80% of the size of their body.
Okay. We're gonna get
That
them at,
is
I'm sorry.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy,
You need to put them at the Nathan's hot dog eating contest.
right? They'd win for sure. I don't know if they'd like that though. They're meat eaters. They're such a meat eater that whatever's in their path, they eat, and that includes their own. Their
Ooh,
young, their
not
friends, their family.
not
They
cool.
eat them all.
Not cool. All right.
No, not cool.
How was that
So it's just a wonder which one of these three are gonna win.
yeah. That's not a fun fact. I don't think that's fun. The other ones
No,
were fun.
that ain't fun.
That is not a
So
fun.
they can take down a large animal without a problem, like a boar, a deer, a water buffalo. So those are quite the size.
Mm.
Those are quite the size. Becky says they're like huge snakes swallowing way too much in one bite. Terrifying. Yes,
Yeah.
they have very flexible jaws and a stomach that it can expand around everything. It's kind of crazy. It is just like a snake. When you
Mhm.
see like a boa snake swallow your friend.
Yeah. Yeah, when you see one swallow your friend, as I
Just
have.
saying.
Yeah.
It's that old adage. It's like you're not going to get killed by a bear or a snake or anything like that or an alligator as long as you're faster than your friend.
You don't have to be fast, just faster than the people you're with, a little faster.
One person. You only have to beat one person.
Yeah.
One. And you could even like kind of trip them and let them fall and then just run.
Yeah.
Just saying. Not that
Uh,
I would do such a thing.
no, no, of course. No, you would go back and rescue them and then go to your meeting. You would, right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So their exterior, all that rough skin that you see right there,
I do. Yeah.
there are thousands of little bones in that skin
Interesting.
just under the surface, right? And that protects them from basically other
Other
Komodo
predators.
dragons
They're
because
yeah,
they
they're
have
loved
no
ones.
predator.
Yeah. It protects them from their family. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it does because they don't have a natural born predator
This
of them.
is like uh, Earth's version of the alien creature in the Alien franchise.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's not that far off.
Mm-mm.
You probably wonder where they get these ideas from. It's probably from our
Well,
own animals,
yeah.
and they just kind of twist the little things for it,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess I'm not traveling to Indonesia with Ron. Well, yeah, that's where they're found now. Originally, they're found in Australia, but they migrated like, I don't know,
Mm.
60,000 years ago.
Mm.
And now they are just known for being in Indonesia. That you don't find them in Australia anymore.
Mm.
But they have like a sanctuary because they are endangered at the Komodo National Park, and that was established in 1980. There's only 1,383 mature Komodo dragons left.
Mm.
So there's not too many. All it takes is one group of people to go hunting for them, and that number could dwindle in a
Sure.
hurry.
I know
So hopefully,
there's a metric that says if there's less than 500 species in the wild, this is what
yeah,
biologists use, then they're pretty much extinct. There have been
yeah, because
successful
that's the tipping
interventions,
point.
but yeah, that's the tipping point.
Yeah. So they're hanging on, and hopefully they continue to hang on, even though they're dangerous.
Yeah.
But you don't want you don't want animals to disappear because they're part of the ecosystem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because then if you lose all of these, then you have other animals that might do damage to
Yeah.
the
Run amok. Yeah.
ecosystem. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Same thing with plants. If you lose all your deer, they're not controlling the density of the forest and all that other stuff, and then it overwhelms. Then you have less trees.
Yeah. Delicate
So
balance.
I got a couple more things. They can reproduce asexually. The females do not need a man. They don't need him.
It's nature's perfect creation, Ron.
Exactly. It's just like Jurassic Park, right?
Yeah.
That's what
Yep.
this is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a process called okay. Path Pathenogenesis.
Okay.
Pathenogenesis.
Epigenesis. Yeah.
That's not an easy word to say. So, and they lay a viable clutch of eggs that maintain. So, I don't know if there's a difference, if they did have a male, if it lays more eggs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing yes. But, you know, Becky says, how progressive.
Aggressive. Yeah. They're very broad-minded. Yeah.
Yeah. So they have, like I said, those razor sharp teeth. They have the most in any reptile. They have 60 teeth, and you can't see them, but they're underneath those gums.
Mm-hmm.
And when they bite, you'll know it
Mm-hmm.
because they'll infect in, and they'll send in some venom along with it. So yeah, that is the Komodo dragon. Trying to see if I missed anything. Oh, yes, I did miss one thing. Average lifespan 50 years in the wild,
Okay.
9 in captivity.
Really,
That's
less
a
in captivity.
big,
Interesting.
yeah, big difference.
Wow. Wow.
Big difference.
I
So,
have a fun fact, which sort of ties them up. Well, two. One, if you want to see one in the States, go to Disney World at Disney's Animal Kingdom Park. There's one Komodo dragon, has a nice enclave all to itself. As far as I can
yeah,
tell, you
that's where
don't.
I got this from because you had mentioned it.
Yeah. I haven't seen them feed. That would be cool if they threw one of the wild boys.
Yeah,
No,
that would be,
no, no,
or
no,
just
no.
an unruly
Yeah.
visitor.
Unruly guest. Yes, that's true. But this other fun fact sort of ties this up together. There is a Hollywood film, a comedy about Komodo dragons. It is nominally a parody of The Godfather. It stars Marlon Brando and Matthew Broderick, and it's called The Freshman. And
Oh, wait a minute, I've seen that.
you've seen The Freshman. Well, then you may recall that it's the story is predicated upon this mafia family using this college kid to
Yeah,
help smuggle in a Komodo dragon, which is going
yeah,
to be, because it's an endangered species, they run this endangered species food club where they hunt endangered species and then have a chef prepare a gourmet meal with the endangered species. And one of
yeah,
the comic highlights is the college guy, Matthew Broderick, gets his roommate, Frank Whaley, who I went to college with, by the way, and nominally studied acting together. Big moment for Frank Whaley. They've got this dragon now, and it sort of escapes from them. And you see how fast it can run and how difficult it is to hold and all this other stuff. But The Freshman is a very good parody of The Godfather, and
it
with
is. It
Marlon
is. It was a good
Brando,
movie.
yeah, with Brando doing Brando, chef's kiss. So, but you will get your fill of Komodo dragon in The Freshman.
That's right. It's like I didn't even remember that movie until this,
See, you
but it
come
was a
full
great
circle.
movie. I
Yeah,
loved
it
it.
was. It was.
Oh, we are just cruising along. Wow, we've already been talking 43 minutes.
Y-
Holy cow!
Yikes! I mean,
Holy cow!
you want to go right to the top five because
No, no, no.
no,
Let's do
no.
let's do some
Okay,
some Richard II
okay. So,
because I gotta say, Martin, like when you think Shakespeare, you always think, okay, Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet,
sure.
all that stuff, right? Richard II does not come up.
Rarely, no. It would come up with people who work in theater who like Shakespeare, Shakespeare enthusiasts, English professors, that sort of thing. But it's a great play. It's a phenomenal play, and over the last 10, 15 years, I've really come to love it. And it pops up because my little section is about these three plays that were written around the same time, possibly the same year, but within a certain limited time frame. And they were Romeo and Juliet, which we spoke of
Yep.
last week, Midsummer Night's Dream, which is also more well known than
Yes.
Richard
Yes.
II. So where does this fit in? And part of what impresses me is that Shakespeare can write in different genres so well. And so with Romeo and Juliet, which we talked about last week, that's
It's
tragedy.
timeless.
Midsummer Night's Dream, a comedy. So what the heck? The heck is Richard II? And scholars have labeled it a history. And what's a history play? Because some of the tragedies are historic, like Julius
Right.
Caesar, but the history plays are basically, not all are tragic. I think all are violent. Some are, in a classical sense, comic, for sure. But they deal with, very narrowly, an English monarch of a certain time frame. So that's but you could take them and say, well, this one's a comedy and this one's a tragedy, but they isolate them. And Richard is one of these plays. And why
Right.
do I like it so much? There are so many extraordinary passages in there that would resonate with people today for any number of reasons. And a time will not permit me to go through them all. I would say I'm going to read a little excerpt. There are, and I would direct people to. There's a lot of good films of Richard II made over the decades with actors of some renowned, Derek Jacobi, Sir John Gielgud. But about, I don't know, 10 years ago, Sam Mendes put together a series called The Hollow Crown, which is a reference from Richard II, and it's 4 of Shakespeare's plays. Richard, Henry IV, Part 1, Henry IV, Part 2, Henry V, and he filmed all of them. And the Richard he did was phenomenal and features David Suchet, who some people would recognize as the actor who played Hercule Poirot for decades on Masterpiece Mystery. It also features the great Patrick Stewart of Star Trek: The Next Generation. And Stewart plays a character, Richard's uncle, Sir John of Gaunt, and his character has a powerful monologue early in the show. I would just say very briefly on the plot of Richard II. Richard is a kind of a weak monarch. He's very capricious. He exploits his subjects, makes a mistake. He exploits subjects and the noblemen. He goes after money people, and eventually they turn on him. So at first you're kind of like, well, you're weak and sniveling and we don't like you. But as he loses power and is overthrown,
Right.
the more he becomes ice, he regains a lot of his dignity, and that comes through what Shakespeare invests in Richard the character, in his inner life and the poetry he has. Good play. What I would like to do is read just a little passage that this
Absolutely.
character John of Gaunt says early on. He is lamenting his country. His country under Richard's rule is suffering and is dying, and as is Sir John of Gaunt, who is elderly and sick, and he is weeping for his England. And I have to tell you, when Brexit was a big thing, and I said they're going to go through with this, I could only think right away. My mind went to Richard and this speech by Sir John of Gaunt. If you're able to watch The Hollow Crown, Patrick Stewart does a phenomenal job with this soliloquy. I will give you a highlight of it, and it will be nowhere near as good as Patrick Stewart's. But the words are so
We
clear.
should have set you up with a costume and everything.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I'll just hunch over, look like an old man dying. But it made me think of Brexit. Makes me think a little bit of my country now. I won't dwell on that, but here's what Shakespeare had to say through Sir John of Gaunt. His rash, fierce blaze of riot cannot last, for violent fires soon burn out themselves. Small showers last long, but sudden storms are short. He tires betimes that spurs, too fast betimes. With eager feeding, food doth choke the feeder. This royal throne of kings, this sceptred isle, this earth of majesty, this seat of Mars, this other Eden, demi-paradise, this fortress built by nature for herself against infection and the hand of war, this happy breed of men, this little world, this precious stone set in the silver sea, which serves in it the office of a wall, or as a moat defensive to a house against the envy of less happier lands. This blessed plot, this earth, this realm, this England, renowned for their deeds as far from home for Christian service and true chivalry, as is the sepulchre and stubborn Jewry of the world's ransom, Blessed Mary's Son. This land of such dear souls, this dear, dear land, dear for her reputation through the world, is now leased out. I die pronouncing it like to a tenement or pelting farm. England bound in with the triumphant sea, whose rocky shore beats back the envious siege of watery Neptune, is now bound in with shame, with inky blots and rotten parchment bonds. That England that was wont to conquer others hath made a shameful conquest of itself. Ah, would the scandal vanish with my life, How happy then were my ensuing death. So, bravo, Shakespeare.
Powerful, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Bravo,
know,
Patrick Stewart.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you can look. I mean, you can visionize if you have not. That's another new word I created. Visionize.
Yeah.
You can do
Works.
that and just picture him saying this,
Yeah.
and I mean, he's a great actor, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh, yeah.
it this fits him to a T.
Mm.
Like he's got
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
He's got that. I don't know. That
It's a quiet
royalty
gravitas.
thing about him,
Yeah. 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 For sure.
and it just fits.
Hmm.
So it's no wonder that Patrick Stewart was chosen, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's an obvious thing.
He's the right
So
age and the right actor, and it's magnificent.
yeah,
Someone said Picard. I'm thinking we should do a play, Picard the Second. I don't know.
Picard the second. So that is
Yeah.
see, and again, like I keep hopping on this thing, but it's like a lost work of art,
Yeah.
with Richard II. I mean, like you said, Midsummer Night's Dream, those get all the publicity and
Yeah.
the accolades, and you start to you miss out on some of the other
Yeah.
things that he does that is so great.
I'll say this about Richard too, or Shakespeare's writing. Sometimes it's dense, it's hard to follow. The references are obscure, and it takes work to get to the meaning. By and large, Richard, there is so much familiarity and clarity in this particular play. It's easily understandable.
And
So
it's the with Patrick Stewart, it's called Hollow Crown. Is that what it is?
it's called The Hollow Crown. 4 movies, starts with Richard II, ends with Henry V. They're all great. They're all great.
And that's something that everybody should check out. Becky says Andrew, her husband, is excited to hear Patrick Stewart.
Oh, he will not be
He's a
disappointed.
big fan of Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
And he's a great actor.
Yeah.
He is spectacular.
Mhm.
And I know I gave a hard time, with my Star Trek thing, you know, but that was just to poke
Yeah.
the bears that
Gotcha.
were out there. I think he's fabulous. I mean,
Yeah.
just respected amongst
Yeah.
probably everybody
Yes.
in the film industry.
Yes.
And for that matter, Broadway, the whole bit.
Yeah.
I mean, this is
Oh,
a
yeah.
class actor,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Doesn't get much better.
Nope.
If it does.
Gotta look far and wide. Yeah.
Exactly. So that is awesome. Can't wait to hear part 3 next time. Yeah, it gives you chills when
Mm.
you have somebody that can reach out and you feel that what they're
Yeah.
doing, and
Very
so
immediate. Yeah.
so I thank you for that. That was
You're
wonderful.
welcome.
This is what I say all the time. Whenever we mention you on all the shows, we're always like, I learned so much from him.
Embarrassed now. Yeah.
It just is.
Yeah, stop.
So let's move on. Seeming we've already gone to the 54-minute mark. Look, this is going to be epic. Ron versus Martin. Top 5 comedy films. Now, like I said before, and I've been hyping this up, and rightfully so, because look, there are many great comedies. And
Yeah.
just to pick the top 5 was impossible.
Yeah.
Impossible.
Foolhardy.
And there are going to be some movies that I have that I know you won't have, but they're all going to be on this list. Look at this list. I mean, it's a full page.
Yeah.
It is absolutely
look
crazy.
at my list. Look at my.
I know.
Yeah.
And
I've actually
I
changed
I
it.
had to just stop writing at some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. I was changing it even 20 minutes before the show. I changed the ranking of something.
I did
But
too.
yeah, yeah.
I did too. I even have it crossed off. Like what was number 1 is now number 5.
Number 5. Yeah.
You
Yep.
know, and it's just insane. It is insane because when you start picking at at certain actors,
Mm.
then you start listing off those movies. It's like, well, how are these not going to be on there?
Right. Sure. Yeah.
You know, and I left off movies that are very funny, but I don't classify as a comedy.
Okay.
Like I don't have Beverly Hills Cop on this list at all.
I don't, and it's a
Because
very funny movie. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And I mean, where do you draw the line, right?
Hard to-
And I look at this and I'm like, okay, so Home Alone I thought was hilarious, right?
Yeah.
Funny. No, not even
Masterpiece.
close. Not even
Masterpiece.
close.
Can't make the top 5. It's true.
No, can't even make the top 20, let alone top 5.
Right. But it's a perfect film, a masterpiece.
Right.
And
And so I'm looking.
Home Alone
this
goes in your
list-
best Christmas movie.
Exactly. Exactly. But it's not my number 1 Christmas movie either for funny.
Yeah.
That's Vacation. Like Christmas Vacation.
Oh God.
That didn't make my list. So I know there's going to be movies on here that people are going to want on here, and it's just
Not gonna
I
happen.
don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
I trying to think of what Martin would have, so I'd have different ones.
I bet we overlap once or twice. Hard that we
Have
tried
to.
not to, but yeah.
All right. So Martin, let me know what your honorable mentions are.
Okay, and I'm going to start with my caveat. There is a caveat. I have listed no Woody Allen movies because, and I think any one of them, I mean, they're masterpieces, and I've laughed so hard. Like Pete Rose, Pete Rose was a great, okay, but behavior keeps him out of the Hall of Fame. That's kind of what we're going to do with the Woody Allen films. And we have enough others, so we're just going to take it out. But
Okay.
all things being equal,
I did the same thing.
Yeah, okay. I could have populated.
Same thing. I didn't put them in.
Yeah. But okay. Here are some honorable mentions, which, it's a list right here. I'll go through them really quick. Animal House.
Oh.
Animal House. Honorable mention. Was on the top 5, but now it's in it.
I get that.
God, I'm embarrassed to say some of these. Ghostbusters. Monty Python's Life of Brian.
All right, I got that one down here somewhere. Where is it? There it is.
Let me just say broadly, every Mel Brooks film that he made that I did not put in my top 5. So,
okay. Yup.
Every Abbott and Costello film.
Oh my God!
That is
God!
Not my top 5. One of them made my top 5. There we go.
Oh my God! I love it. I'm so Martin. You just made my whole day.
I'm glad. Okay. Every Marx Brothers film that perhaps didn't make my top 5. There. And okay. Anything Despicable Me. I don't know. I love for some reason that gets an honorable mention. I just loved it. I actually cried a little bit in it too at the end. But
it's a great movie.
Yeah.
But I took out all the animated movies.
You did, yeah. I mean, that's probably the way to go. Take out the animated. Yeah. Abbott. Yeah, you go. Abbott. He's got it.
Abbott and Costello are my absolute favorite.
Okay.
And I could just have all of their movies in my top 10,
top
15.
20. Yeah.
So, I hear what you're saying. So it's like when I'll just say I have 2 of them in my top spots.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
I have Hold That Ghost.
Okay. Great
movie. Hold That Ghost is an honorable mention for me.
Okay.
And that includes every other movie that is not in this list.
Okay.
So all Abbott and Costello are absolutely an honorable mention.
Yeah.
They're too funny.
Yeah.
I still watch them. I have them saved on my thing.
Oh yeah.
I still watch them. I spent New Year's Day watching them.
I still love them too. And when my
Yeah.
kids were young, we watched them, and they got tired of them. I did not. I guess they grew up, and I did not grow up. But there,
No,
there we
no,
go.
I'm never
Yeah,
tired of them.
yeah.
I have on my honorable mention, and
Mm.
after analyzing this is one of those movies that was in my top 5,
Okay.
and it dropped down to an
Got
honorable
there.
mention.
Yeah.
The Water Boy,
The water.
Adam
Oh
Sandler.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Love The Water Boy.
Yeah.
So
He puts
I
it on the
could not
line.
believe I dropped it down.
Okay.
Um, and my next honorable mention is one of those that no matter how many times I watch this movie, it just makes me laugh hysterically.
Mm, mm,
And it's an honorable mention.
mm.
Weekend at Bernie's. That part where he falls off the boat and all you hear is bing. What is that noise? Bing.
Great moment. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I love it. It just makes me laugh.
Yeah.
I mean, as a movie, it's not going to win any awards, right?
No. No. Okay.
But it is just so funny. Um, Honorable mention, and I love Richard Pryor.
Mm.
The Toy. Him and Jackie Gleason together?
Yeah.
Really? How could that go wrong? It didn't go wrong because it was a funny movie. I loved it.
It's a great pair. It's a
So
it's a fine pairing, like a fine wine and a good
yeah,
meal. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it was a great movie. I love the movie. I almost forgot about this movie, to be
Mm,
honest with you.
mm.
Almost forgot. I had Coming to America in my honorable mentions. That
Mhm.
got bumped
Okay.
because of The Toy.
Terrific
And
movie.
my bubble,
Mm.
my number 6 on the
Mm.
list, Blazing Saddles, which you
Uh,
might have in your top. Maybe.
my
Maybe.
a masterpiece. A masterpiece.
Gene Wilder.
Yeah. I mean,
Love it.
everyone and every supporting player that coterie
Oh
that
my
you
God.
often see in Mel Brooks's films and Woody
What a
Allen's
cast.
films. There's not one line wasted. It is
Nope.
a wonderful satire of the Western genre and a brilliant screed against racism.
Yeah.
And for
Oh,
people hearing
absolutely.
it today who are offended at some of the harshness in it, hope they realize where the satire is being directed at. You
Yeah,
know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
And Mel Brooks was pretty much a comic genius.
Yeah. Yeah.
Comic genius. His movies were so great. All right. That rounds out my honorable mentions and Martin's honorable mentions.
Yeah.
What's your number 5, Martin?
Number 5, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, 1948.
Great pick.
One of
Great
the
pick.
greatest ideas of a movie that, on the surface is incredibly stupid, but such a work of comic genius. I can't. And as a
Yep.
kid seeing it, I remember when it first came to my attention, I said, wait a minute. They've got Abbott and Costello in a movie with Frankenstein, the werewolf, and Dracula. Like,
Yep.
hello, beautiful. I'm like, oh my God. And
Exactly.
it is
Exactly.
so funny. And I reference it a lot when I'm,
Boris Karloff.
yeah. Boris Karloff? No, Boris Karloff was not in it. They had,
Wait,
who
no,
was it?
Boris Karloff was
Bella Lugosi and
yeah, it
Lon
was Bela
Chaney were in
Lugosi.
it. Yeah. And
Yes.
wait, and Ron, who makes a cameo appearance at the end? A great actor of the horror genre in his own right.
Was it Vincent Price?
Vincent Price in the
Right, that's
last
right.
joke
I remember
in the
that.
boat.
He was the Invisible Man.
Visible Man. That was like
Yeah.
just thrown in that nice little cherry on top of the
Yep.
icing. But running throughout the whole film is the sense of Lou Costello. He plays Wilbur.
Yeah.
That these monsters are real and coming to get him, and of course nobody believes him. And his fear and his anxiety and how the situations change every time Bud Abbott is there, the monsters somehow disappear. Also running through this is two very attractive women are seemingly attracted to Lou Costello. They're each using him for different means. One is in
Exactly.
cahoots with Dracula, and they want to harvest his brain. The other is an insurance inspector. But the idea of both of these women feigning interest in him, very funny. Lon Chaney Jr. plays it straight. in all this comedy, zany chaos, he's playing Lawrence Talbot, the Wolfman, as if he's the Wolfman, and that's
Yep.
the secret. And when I've directed some comic plays that sort of have this, but is this supposed to be menacing or funny? And like, it's both. That's how it works. This is Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. The threat is real, but the comedy is also real. So,
Absolutely.
no one
Absolutely.
wanted to make the film except Universal, but it was great for Abbott and Costello. It was great for Universal. It was great for Bela Lugosi, and this just sort of restarted all things for them, all their careers and this genre of monster movies. So number
Yep.
5, Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein.
My number 5 is Happy Gilmore. Um, Look, I love this movie because, I'm a hockey fan.
Okay.
I'm a Boston Bruin fan.
Mm,
And my favorite athlete of all time is Terry O'Reilly,
okay.
the lunch pail guy, right?
Okay.
And, when I first saw this movie, I was like, oh my God, right? So it was already an instant attraction to the movie.
Yeah.
And I've seen this movie over and over. It never gets old. I think Carl Weathers was so underrated in this
Mm,
movie.
mm,
He was wonderful in it. And so was everybody else that played those parts. And of course, when you got the scene with Bob Barker, it's like it was absolutely incredible. And I've always thought, up until I did this list, that it was my favorite movie for comedies.
mm.
And this made me realize that it wasn't,
Okay.
but it's still my top 5.
Okay. Okay.
Number 4, I have Tommy Boy.
Oh, okay. With David
And
Spade
David Spade, Chris
and Chris
Farley,
Farley. Okay.
and I've always maintained that if Chris Farley didn't die, these two would have been the next Abbott and Costello.
Oh, yeah, they were great together. Yeah,
They
yeah.
were perfect for each other. And so I had Tommy Boy at number 4. Love the movie, and of course, there's some positive things that are in this movie as well.
Mhm.
And when you can laugh at what goes on throughout this movie
Mm.
and still get a lesson from it,
Yeah, yeah.
I like it.
Mhm.
What's your number 4?
My number 4 was once upon a time my number 1, but now got switched to number 4. Um, What's Up, Doc? A film that we talked about in other lists, directed by
Yep.
Peter Bogdanovich. One of the
Yep.
authors was the great Buck Henry. This is a screwball comedy starring Barbara Streisand and Ryan O'Neal. My favorite thing Barbara Streisand has ever done, by the way.
Exactly, mine too.
But not to take
Mine
anything
too.
away from her, but this film, there is no earthly reason for this film. Its genius is it's just comedy gold in every scene.
Yep.
It has all the hallmarks of a Mel Brooks film too, including a lot of the people in it. Madeline Kahn's in it,
Yep.
Ryan O'Neal, uh, uh, Kenneth Mars. It's just Austin Pendleton. Oh, look, just go see it when you can. Deny yourself no longer. I was fortunate to see it in the movie theaters at Radio City Music Hall. I don't remember ever laughing more, maybe as much in some films. It is just a little slice of comic heaven and
Yeah. Yeah.
belongs on this list. 1972. It's still fresh as a daisy. So that's my number
All
5.
right, Martin, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is the Marx Brothers film Duck Soup. And
I
for me,
knew you were gonna. I
you knew it was
knew
gonna be
you were
Duck Soup.
picking this movie.
Duck Soup. You were correct. You were correct.
I
You know,
was talking to a friend
yeah,
yesterday, and
yeah,
I'm looking through the movies, and I'm like, okay, this is pretty
yeah,
good. This is good. This is good. This is
yeah.
good. And I'm like, Marx Brothers. And I was at that movie, and I say, oh, Martin's got this on his list. I
This is the
knew
one.
it. I knew it.
Well, you know me well. It is a great political satire. It is zany. It has all the hallmarks of the Marx Brothers and what they bring. Groucho was never funnier. Interesting, not successful movie when it came out. Critics didn't love it, but time has done well by this film. It is now adored. The Library of Congress
Yeah.
thought enough of it to preserve it in the National Film Registry. People today, recognize it for the comic genius that it is. Uh, I would say it was the first Marx Brothers film I ever saw. I was maybe 10. And I said, where have you people been my entire life? And I had to make room. I had to push Abbott and Costello over to make room for the Marx Brothers
Yeah.
bit,
See,
right?
I can do
But
that.
I would say there's one scene in it. If you had to pick one of their movies, well, why this one? And there's a famous scene where Groucho and Harpo are Harpo is sort of spying on Groucho, and Groucho's sort of catching Wise, and they face off, but sort of Harpo starts pretending like they're not facing off, that they're in a mirror, and they're dressed. Harpo dressed like
Yeah,
Groucho.
I know the scene.
The mirror
That was
scene.
pretty
So
special.
Groucho was testing to see, is that my reflection or is that the dude? And so he does something, and Harper has
Yeah,
to mirror it. And this goes
right.
on and on to the point of absurdity where they actually flip places. Like they go through the looking glass, literally. And they
Yeah.
maintain that, which is hallmark Marx Brothers chaos, the suspension of physical laws of nature, like we would see in
You
cartoons.
see
And the
stuff
comic.
like that
Yeah.
in TV and, all kinds
Yeah.
of things, animation with
Yes.
animals,
Yes.
you see it all the time now, and that's where they get it from,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. And it is often imitated, often celebrated. They did it not just for this movie, it was part of their vaudeville routines.
Yeah.
But prior to them, Charlie Chaplin did a version of this, Harold Lloyd did a version of this. But everyone sort of feels that in this movie, this was the best version. This is where this
We did it in
little
Abbott and Costello.
they Lucille Ball did it. Lucille Ball did it with Harpo actually years later. But in this film, this is maybe the iconic, the go-to version of this wonderful comic sketch. So that
Yeah.
you got to include. Then that's why Duck Soup is in my top 5
Yeah, now
comedy.
we'll see if that other one that I think is going to be in there
Okay.
gets up there. My number 3 goes back to Gene Wilder.
Mm.
Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor in Stir Crazy. Oh my
Oh yeah.
god, I love that movie.
Yeah.
Oh my god, those two. Those
Hmm.
two are just unbelievable. Two funny people, and they worked well as a team.
Yeah.
And Richard Pryor is my favorite stand-up comedian of all
Mm.
time. So whatever movies he's in, I'm in. Right?
You're there.
It's one of
Okay.
those kind of things. And the
Sure.
same thing with Gene Wilder.
Yeah.
I'm in.
They're great. They were great together. It was a great pairing, right? And
Yep.
yeah, that film, that and Silver Streak were just,
Silver
yeah,
Streak.
yeah,
Hear no
good
evil,
stuff.
see no evil,
Yeah,
or vice versa. I think
good
it's vice
stuff.
versa.
I haven't listened to prior comedy because he's been gone for a while. But I mean, there was a
Yeah,
time where there were a couple of his albums I would listen to all the time. I'm like, God, he was masterful. He was
he
masterful.
was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Number 2,
Mm.
I have Bill Murray and Stripes.
Stripes.
Oh my god, that movie! I can't get enough of that movie. To be honest with you, can't get
That's
enough of
the
it.
fact, Jack. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so good.
Hmm.
Like everything, just going in that line when they're in front of the general,
Yeah.
and oh my god, that was just so funny, and just the training, and then he goes off on all of them.
Yeah.
It was just a joy to watch this
Yeah.
movie. What a cast! I
Yeah.
loved it. I can watch it over and over and over again and never get sick of this movie.
Yeah.
Never get
And,
sick of it. What's your
and
number 2?
well, I'm a big Harold Ramis fan, I should say, too.
Right. Well,
And he
yeah.
was great. And John Candy, please, good stuff. So my number 2 was Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
There it is.
That-
There it is. But it only made number 2. I thought that was going to be number 1, to be honest
well,
with you.
they weren't on my original list, and then I couldn't sleep. I couldn't live with myself. I had
And
to
you
take
woke up and
something
it's
out.
like you had this epiphany.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I did with Happy Gilmore. I thought it was going to be number 1.
Yeah.
It didn't.
I mean, I love Life of Brian too. Monty Python Holy Grail, just a brilliant satire of so many things. wonderful ensemble cast, beautifully co-directed by Terry Jones and Terry Gilliam. And Terry Gilliam would go on to be a great director in his own right. And not only is it a great movie, but you could see, these people on a low budget really working the art of cinema very well with some of the
Yeah.
photography that they did, but never losing sight of the joy of silliness and the brilliance in how they craft language, and how they can be at once incredibly intelligent and incredibly stupid. And it is just, before it there was no comedy like it, and they sort of reinvented the genre as
Yeah,
only they could.
they're probably like they got to be the most successful of all the stuff from like UK
Yeah,
and Europe, really,
sure.
all of them.
They became the gold
I
standard
mean,
for yeah. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
they are the standard.
Yeah,
It's like them and Mel Brooks, and then it's like everybody else.
right.
And they just don't make stuff like
So,
that anymore.
well, again, look at the 70s. Within a couple of years, you had Holy Grail. Mel Brooks is, dynamic duo. You mentioned one of them
Right.
already, Blazing Saddles. Plus, at the end of the 70s, then all the National Lampoon films coming in. It was a time of wonderful fertility and creativity, and great stuff. And the Happy Gilmore stuff, the Adam Sandler stuff, that doesn't really come by without National Lampoon sort of setting the stage for this
That's
brand
right.
of comedy.
That's right.
So the
You're
70s
right.
were such a wonderful time. And again, funny movies come out every now and again. What impressed me about that time was how many came out
Oh, it was.
consistently, not
That's
a
why I
rare
said
jewel. Yeah,
in the chat, I was like, I gotta separate them by quarter centuries, right?
yeah.
25 years. So
Hmm.
you're figuring like maybe 70 to 2000, 2000 to now,
Yeah.
and then pre
Hmm.
70s,
Yeah.
right? And it's not lying because like when you start looking at all these movies, I mean, just the National Lampoons alone,
Yeah. Yeah.
you're gonna have at least four or five that should be in, right? You would
Hmm.
think.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't like that. There's just so many to choose from. And I'll read a list after we're done because we don't have a lot of movies. And I think one of them that I'm expecting to see at your number one is one of two movies. And I
It,
and I
it's
I
got to
got a
be.
feeling I think I'm going to be right.
It's it's got to be one because someone's work has been omitted in my top five list.
I know.
Mel Brooks has not appeared, so one would reason that
Yeah.
almost by law
Right. And that's
dictates
why
that
I
it
say
has to
one
appear.
of two movies.
Well,
All right. What
Blazing
is your number
well,
one,
Blazing
Martin?
Saddles was a I think you're one of your honorable mentions, right? And it would be
Yes,
one of
it was
mine.
my number six.
How does
My
one
bubble.
choose? All right, how does one choose between Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein? But the most
Yeah, I don't
amazing
know.
thing
I don't know.
is they came out in the same year. Okay, and
Yeah.
they're both masterful satires of
Yep.
classic genres of Hollywood films. You know,
Absolutely.
so how do you choose? And the answer is you
Yeah.
don't. You pick another one. So I picked, and I think this is the granddaddy of them all. One of the funniest films I've ever seen to this day. I can put it on now. I will still laugh as if it's the first time. It has some people whom we know. The great Gene Wilder is in it. Uh, Many people know it today because of adaptations of it. But the number one on my list, at least as of this morning, is Mel Brooks's the original 1967, The Producers with Gene Wilder and Zira Mostel and Kenneth Mars and oh god, and so many great people. It is one of the funniest films. I don't love the musical. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but it's like you can't improve upon perfection. You can, it's good, but Gene Wilder and Zero Mostel, uh,
Yeah. See, I thought it was
Dick
going to
Shawn.
be one of those two,
Yeah, yeah. It has to
and
be.
I was wrong.
Oh no, you did. Oh, you thought it might be Young Frankenstein or Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, I
You,
did.
you could slot those in, but how do you choose? And it's
But
like
yeah,
it's like
that's just
Sophie's
it.
Choice.
So
So
when
the
I say
producers,
Blazing
yeah,
Saddles is my
yeah.
number 6, but it also gets accompanied by all his other movies.
Yeah, I know. Right, right, right. But the producers, again, and at the time that it came out, the producers made Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein possible, right? It was such an original approach, such an original, wonderful story, executed to
Yeah.
perfection. And
No, it was
on
great.
that, he built these other masterpieces. But
Yeah.
if you haven't seen the original, I don't mean you, whoever's watching hasn't seen the original producers in a while, deny yourself no longer. And just the opening
Yeah.
sequence, 15 minutes long, Gene Wilder, Zero
See
Mostel.
his whole library.
Yeah,
His whole
yeah,
library.
yeah.
Just watch all
No,
of them.
they're all great. But my number one was the producers. Springtime for
My number
Hitler.
one,
Yeah.
my number one was
Yeah.
Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein.
Hey, there we go.
It was not my number one. Just seeing him,
Yeah, yeah,
just the whole thing, just the
yeah,
whole
yeah,
package,
yeah, yeah,
the whole
yeah.
package.
Oh
It
yeah,
is just so funny.
yeah,
It is funny. You have a good time.
yeah.
You have a good time when you're watching Abbott and Costello movie.
There
You
is
know?
not 1 minute, no, not 30 seconds goes by where something funny doesn't happen. They waste nothing. They
Yeah.
find a place to be funny. And Lou he just doesn't stop. He's in his genius is inexhaustible. And Bud Abbott, the perfect straight man for all of this. Yeah.
Now we've mentioned a bunch of movies that we talked about while giving our top stuff. I'm going to read off a list of movies that we couldn't include and deserve to be mentioned.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them. So Christmas Vacation, Vacation, Caddyshack, Home
Mm.
Alone. I loved Without a Paddle. I love that movie.
I
So
don't think I've
funny.
seen it. I'm gonna look it up.
With Seth Green, Dax Shepard, and I can't remember the other guy.
Okay.
Great movie, so funny.
Okay.
Groundhog Day,
Groundhog Day.
Shaun of the Dead, History
Shaun
of
of
the
the
World,
Dead. Yeah, yeah. Shaun of the Dead.
right? Planes,
Yep.
Trains, and Automobiles, The Princess Bride, Something About Mary, 40-Year-Old Virgin, Fast Times at Ridgemont High,
Mm-hmm.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Smokey the Bandit with Jackie
Jackie
Gleason.
Gleason.
Oh my God. Revenge of the Nerds. Meaning of Life. Monty Python's Meaning of Life. Three Men and a Baby was funny.
Yeah.
Strange Brew for you folks in Canada. Bob and Doug McKenzie.
Hey, take off,
Hey.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Paul Blart Mall Cop, believe it or not. I love Kevin James.
I enjoyed that more than I thought I was. I'm like, all right,
I
I watched
did
this,
too.
and I was like, oh yeah, this was pretty good. Yeah.
I was afraid to mention it because I was embarrassed.
It
it's
doesn't make
good.
my top 5, but tip of the hat for Paul Blart,
Yeah.
Mall Cop for sure.
I love Martin Lawrence, so National Security and Blue Streak are right up there for me. Brewster's Millions, of course, with Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
We can't forget John Candy with Summer Rental, Great Outdoors, Uncle Buck, Cannonball Run. Love Dom DeLuise. Funny man.
Cannonball Run.
With Burt Reynolds and all the actors where they're racing.
Yeah.
What About Bob? And I
What About
can't believe we haven't mentioned this. Good Morning Vietnam. The Wedding Singer. American Pie, another one of those National Lampoon kind of things, Grumpy Old Men, Wild Hogs, funny movie, Black Sheep, another Chris Farley, David Spade, Police Academy, the original one.
The original.
The first one.
Yeah.
The first one. After that, stop.
Steve Guttenberg.
My Cousin Vinny.
My Cousin Vinny.
Monty Python's The Holy Grail. The Hangover. Spaceballs. Trading Places. Mrs. Doubtfire. Ace Ventura. Wayne's World. The Jerk. Major League. Austin Powers. 51st Dates. Three Amigos.
Love Three Amigos. Love Three Amigos.
Can't forget Rodney Dangerfield's Back to School. Love that movie. Love it. The Bad News Bears, actually, both the old and new were funny. Older one was great.
Love the older one, Walter Matthau. Great film.
Yes. The Odd Couple.
Odd Couple. Yep.
Slapshot was even funny with the Hanson brothers.
Yeah.
Joe Dirt. Meatballs. Bill Murray. That was the first Bill Murray movie I ever saw. It was hilarious. Clerks. Porky's. Little adult humor. Arthur. Remember him?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Dudley Moore was funny.
Oh,
he makes a great drunk.
Yes, he does. Oh, like no one else.
Hot Fuzz, Mr. Mom, Ted, the R-rated bear, Big Roxanne. Steve Martin was wonderful in that, as was Daryl Hannah. Beetlejuice, Dodgeball, Naked Gun, Shrek. Even though I didn't.
That's an animated.
I decided to take the animated ones out after I wrote it down. Step Brothers, Superbad, and I can't believe neither one of us had Airplane.
Can I tell you, I was in a play with Julie Haggerty one time.
Really?
Yes. What a lovely person. What a lovely person. Yeah.
Wow.
That's
pretty good. That you got to save that one for next week. Save the story because we are like 27 minutes over.
Right.
This is now officially the longest episode we've had, and I had a feeling it was going to happen today.
We should have cut Shakespeare. Yeah. No, your backup list is all good. Is all good. You know, I'm right there with you.
It went by fast.
It did.
So look, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. 8 Mountain Time. If you're in Edmonton, Alberta, got to watch it at 8 o'clock in the morning. Seattle folks, Lily from Seattle, she's got to get up and do the show at 7 a.m. Brand new host, Lily, will be joined by Becky, Turner, and Kenny.
Welcome, Lily.
That should be an interesting episode. So be here tomorrow morning, same bat time, same bat channel. I don't know if I can say that, but I'm saying it anyway. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Thank you for everybody that watched the show live, including Becky, Hugo, and everybody else. See you tomorrow. Thank you for being here.
All right. Peace out, everyone.